The close out of that module there, but I want to just quickly run through the frameworks and templates that are associated with the module, your hotel website, your magnetic digital shopfront. So basically you would have saw this one earlier, which is the virtual shopfront analogy. So again, get yourself familiar with that, and it's just a bit of a shift on your mindset there that, you know, if you compare back to a retailer, how they operate their business, how can your hotel website conduct the same function for you? So try and use that analogy. It's just another bad way to look at it at times. I talked about a digital repository. So the digital repository is typically a software function that you would buy, but similar to how we recorded your unique hotel story in a format. So there was a master story, the master text file. I'd also encourage you, if you don't want to invest into a digital repository at this stage, which holds all your imagery and video, do a similar thing. Keep a master file of all your imagery and video and have it categorized. So the framework that we've got there is really just a place for you to house that and point towards, well, these are the files, these are the photos that I use to represent the outside of the building. These are the photos that I use to represent the restaurant. These are the photos that I use to represent room type A, room type B, room type C. And the goal here is not only to get beautiful imagery onto your website, but then equally represent the same imagery out across all the platforms. It comes back to that master file, the master repository. Just this time, instead of for words, it's for imagery and video. So I encourage you to explore that. The next one is a cheat sheet, I guess that we call, which is photo hacking for hotels. So there's a whole bunch of, I guess, detailed tips in here about, you know, what size photos you should be taking, for what platforms, how to, you know, clean the image area up, include people in the photos and all that sort of stuff. But that's all built into that cheat sheet there. So it's just basically a visual guide of how to get the best photos for your property, because we know that imagery is so important. And similar to that, but more on a broader hotel website front, this sort of summarises everything in this module here. It actually gives you a visual of all the components that you need to include into your website, or you should at least be considering to include in your website. When I talked about call to action, when I talk about beautiful imagery, when I talked about reviews, all that sort of stuff, this gives you a visual representation of what your website should look like, and ultimately acts as a checklist for you to look at when you're talking with your web designer and before launching any new versions of your website. And the final framework here is a conversion rate calculator. So this is just, every hotel is going to be different, but it's an idea or a bit of a guide and a framework of how to start to calculate your current conversion rate. As we talk about, one of our principles is growth and measuring the growth and always benchmarking it against previous results. Similar here, but if we're going to measure and compare, we need to start with a baseline. We need to say, well, let's calculate what your conversion rate is now. And as I said, every hotel is going to be different, but there's some fields in here, and if you don't need to, if some of them don't apply to you, that's fine, just leave them blank. But it's about trying to calculate total traffic and then applying to the total traffic total bookings via the website, and then coming up with a conversion percentage. So it's just a little tool, a little calculator there to help you calculate what it is now. But then going forward, you might want to be checking that, you know, could be monthly, could be quarterly, could be annually, the conversion rate calculator. But then, that's the frameworks there, which leads us off into your strategy and action selection, which we're going to be moving into next.